Now, if you haven't checked out my other videos, I released two videos, one on the 22nd of December and the other on the 30th of December, 2015, just a couple of weeks ago as of this video. The first video was Star Wars The Force Awakens is not like A New Hope, and the follow-up video where I tried to explain myself a little better was called Star Wars The Force Awakens is not like A New Hope, follow-up video. Go figure that. Well, the first video has generated quite the response. And again, I got a response, a comment late last night. And, you know, I try to respond when it's respectful, it's professional, and they lay out good things. I try to respond when I can. I work in the film industry. I'm a professional voice actor. I'm a busy dude. But I will respond if and when I can, as long as it's a good argument, it's professional, it's not passive aggressive, and it's not calling me a big self-centered, egotistical son of a bitch, which I'm not. That's not an argument. But anyway, I've gotten it. Yeah, I will respond when I can. So I responded to this guy, and I'm going to read you that response. I'm going to read you that response. Now, I'm talking to him, so it might seem a bit personal at certain points, but this is for all of you. All right. Every argument, including yours, that people bring forward are nothing but surface level arguments. This is where the average moviegoer who doesn't understand symbolism, comparative mythology, and narratology, and what the Star Wars universe and journey has always been about, loses their shit because it's not handed to them on a silver platter. TFA, The Force Awakens, whether you liked it or not, was a carefully constructed, crafted, and deliberate execution of the monomyth, the hero's journey, paralleling A New Hope in a deliberate and precise execution as to bring the Star Wars universe back to its feet from the depths of the critical disaster, which of course was the Star Wars prequels, while still telling a different plot narrative. It has been documented in countless articles and interviews that Disney, J.J. Abrams, Lucasfilm, Lawrence Kasdan, Kathleen Kennedy, and company told the story with the parallels they did because they had to go back to the roots of the original Star Wars trilogy. Mark Hamill himself said it best in an interview for the Comic-Con behind-the-scenes video. Remember that? Of course you do. When he said, "You've been here before, but you don't know this story." You've been here before, but you don't know this story. TFA is not about spaceships, Death Stars, or plans being hidden in droids, no more than the original trilogy was. It once again uses the monomyth, or hero's journey, which was a concept introduced by the great mythologist and writer Joseph Campbell in his book, The Hero with a Thousand Faces. George Lucas was a big fan of Joseph Campbell and has been quoted and documented that this concept was a driving force and a blueprint and inspiration for the original Star Wars film, A New Hope, and the overall story arc of Luke Skywalker, or at the time, Star Killer's journey. This fundamental concept was introduced back into the Star Wars series with TFA, drawing parallels to A New Hope in order to reset the universe. The Star Wars prequels are statistically some of the most hated films in motion picture history. Let me address some things further. This gentleman goes on to say, okay, and this argument could be used for many people out there as well, okay? So I'm sure it relates to a lot of people out there as well, all right? He's talking to me. You see the trees in so much that disappointed fans incorrectly point out that the movie is copying A New Hope, but that it is actually just paralleling it. But you fail to see, I fail to see, oh my God, I fail to see, the forest, that by paralleling a story so closely, it makes the movie predictable and unoriginal to many fans of the original. No. You want to know what made it predictable? I'll tell you what made it predictable, okay? The fact that for 2 years leading up to the event of this big movie that's going to be released, all you sweaty Star Wars disgusting nerds like me out there were sitting there at your computer going, "Oh, I wonder what's going to happen," and reading up on all this stuff. Oh, look, there's more news. Oh, look, what's going to happen. That's why you saw things coming. There were rumors about Han Solo's death for months, okay? There were rumors about Kylo Ren being the the son of Han Solo for months, okay? Don't give me this bullshit excuse like you went into the movie completely free. Completely free. I don't know what's going on. And because of the way the narrative was constructed, you saw it coming from the look what's happening here. No, you went into the theater with preconceived notions of what was going to happen. And when those scenes started to play out, all that was a confirmation for you of already what you expected. So don't give me this bullshit excuse like it was the parallels to A New Hope that made those things predictable. They being the filmmakers, paralleled it so closely because of Episode 4's success. And the director, J.J. Abrams, and the screenwriter, Lawrence Kasdan, have no successful history of writing creative original stories like the maker, George Lucas, has. Okay, first of all, the hero's journey in the monomyth is not an original theme. All right, that theme has been told in stories for centuries. The plot narrative is original in terms of we hadn't seen anything like that before in that way, but the theme, the hero's journey, the theme of Star Wars, it's not a new story, buddy. It's not a new story, people. If you know your literature history, it's not a new story. And anybody who knows that will tell you, yeah, the theme of Star Wars, it's not a new theme. That's why we're drawn to it, because this story has been told for centuries, okay? Trust me. Don't fucking leave you know what the fuck you're talking, you think you're better than everybody else. No, I don't think I'm better than everybody else. This is a fact. Ask George Lucas himself. Do interviews. YouTube, monomyth, hero's journey, Star Wars, whatever you need to do. Look it up, please. Okay? Trust me. All right. And then he goes on here to say, a screenwriter, Lawrence Kasdan's role, is not the same as a story writer. A story writer creates the complete tale, and a screenwriter just takes the already written story and merely adapts it into be displayed on the cinema screen. Obviously, he forgets that I'm a filmmaker and obviously has no idea who I am and hasn't done his research on me or to see that I know this. Again, this is easily explained when you actually understand the mythologies and know and read the motives that JJ and company have discussed. They did not parallel TFA with A New Hope likely because of the box office success of A New Hope. Only a fool would think that without understanding the fundamental mythological aspirations of what the Star Wars universe is about and why you like it on an unconscious level. With all due respect, as someone who works in the film industry, I do in fact know very well the difference between a story and a screenplay. You also have to remember there is something called the 3-act system, for which TFA is the first. You have seen 1 act out of a 3-act play. You have seen 2 hours out of a 6-hour movie. I can guarantee you once all films are complete in 4 years, you will have a different feeling with TFA because you will have the perspective of seeing the story as a whole and not merely as a one-off. Look, things that don't make sense or add up right now in TFA will inevitably have greater significance for you when you are able to see the story as a whole. There is no doubt Episode 8 will mirror The Empire Strikes Back. Why? Because of the themes. The second act in a 3-act system is always usually the darkest for our protagonists. The good guys are not going to win. You're not telling me anything new here, and good for you for figuring it out if you did. Will Episode 8 parallel The Empire Strikes Back as much as TFA did with A New Hope? Probably not. A perfect example of what I'm talking about is in A New Hope when Obi-Wan Kenobi gives Luke Skywalker his father's lightsaber. Now that you've seen the Star Wars prequels and everything that lightsaber has been through, it gives that scene in A New Hope a whole new sense of awe and wonder and mystery and wow. You are not merely looking at some dude's lightsaber. You now have the perspective, regardless of what you thought of the prequels, of the true significance and story that surrounds the lightsaber. That lightsaber was the saber that fought Obi-Wan among the fire and lava. This significance was not possible seeing A New Hope in 1977 or any time before 2005. It is the exact same emotion you feel when we see Rey find the lightsaber in the basement of Maz Kanata's castle in TFA. That same sense of, oh my God, there it is, that's it, that's it, is felt because of the history and symbolic significance it has in relation to the original trilogy. That sense of, oh my God, there it is, would not be possible if you did not have the whole story arc of the previous films. This new trilogy's story arc has just begun. We must be patient. Now, what is TFA really about? What is the story arc of TFA? What is the brilliance of TFA? TFA, The Force Awakens, is about the journey of Rey, yes, which is paralleling the hero's journey, yes, but it's also about the conflict with a three-dimensional villain. Kylo Ren is a brilliantly crafted and written character. His training is incomplete. He struggles with the light and dark side of the Force, and he is unstable with his emotions. He's everything Anakin Skywalker should have been in the Star Wars prequels, including the acting, by the way. When Supreme Leader Snoke says to Kylo Ren, "Even you have never faced such a test," he was referring to the murder of Kylo's father. Snoke knew Kylo Ren was conflicted with the dark and light side of the Force. Snoke knew that Ren had to kill his own father to be one step closer to finalizing that transition to the dark side of the Force. Kylo Ren's father, Han Solo, was a weakness for Kylo Ren, a pull to the light side of the Force. Kylo Ren needed to eliminate this weakness as it was holding him back from accomplishing his ultimate goal. The symbolism on how this scene is shot, the Starkiller base sucking the light from the sun, the white light being cast on the bridge when Han walks out onto it, the entire scene falling dark with only the glow of red light, Han dying and falling into the white light. Everything about the scene is steeped in deep symbolism, to which, if you knew anything about, makes the scene feel fulfilled and complete. This was not simply a bad guy killing a good guy. This was not about Harrison Ford wanting Han Solo to die. Absolutely not. You need to understand, not just as a fan of the films presented in the one-dimensional nature of the Disney marketing machine, but as a real Star Wars fan who understands the deep mythology and symbolism of what the Star Wars films and universe are truly about. You need to read between the lines. And by the way, reading between the lines is not a new concept with TFA. It also had to be done with the original trilogy as well. Let's take The Empire Strikes Back, for example, and the scenes with Yoda and Luke on Dagobah. Do you remember seeing a lot of slithering snakes during those scenes? Do you know what the symbolism of snakes are and what they mean? Or do you just assume they're there because, well, after all, it's a creepy and swampy place, and I guess snakes would be in a creepy and swampy place? Ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not, along with a lot of reptiles, snakes are one of the oldest mythological symbols. Snakes have been associated with some of the oldest rituals known to humans and represent a dual expression of good and evil. And where does Luke see, or better yet, where do you see a lot of these snakes? When Luke goes into the cave. Think about it. The Star Wars trilogy is steeped with this kind of symbolism. There are countless expressions of this kind of symbolism and meaning throughout the original trilogy. It will be present here in this new trilogy too. Remember when Kylo Ren said, "I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it. Can you help me?" Kylo Ren didn't mean, "I don't know if I have the strength to come with you, Father, because after all, I know all of you good guys are wonderful people and I want to be a good guy too. Can you help me, please?" Although that's what he wanted Han to think, and maybe you too, Kylo Ren meant, "I don't know if I have the strength to kill you." After all, after he stabs his father, what does Kylo Ren say? "Thank you." This was his sacrifice, and we just witnessed an incredible moment in a character's story arc. Kylo Ren sacrificed his own father to be one step closer to his ultimate goal of being like his grandfather, Darth Vader. Whew. Man, was that powerful. So folks, when I get an argument that is simply just, well, when Han Solo died at the hands of Kylo Ren, it was just basically a rehash of when Obi-Wan died at the hands of Darth Vader in A New Hope. And that's where the argument stops, and you don't even talk about the depth and symbolism and power and what that scene really meant and what Kylo Ren was actually saying to Han Solo and the conflict he was struggling at that moment. When you don't even talk about that kind of stuff, it's game over. it's game over. You're just fucking noise to me now. Like, it's just like, whatever. Like you don't even, you bring nothing to the table. You bring these weak, simplistic, surface level parallels, and you don't even divulge and get into the deep symbolism of what the Star Wars universe is about. This deep and rich story narrative is what makes TFA steeped in symbolism and far and beyond nothing like A New Hope. The parallels are surface level parallels, okay? They are not integral to the overall deep narrative at play between the characters and their journey. My name's Dave McRae.